Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the M365 Voice. My name is Sarah Haase.
And I am Mike Marani.
And I'm Antonio Mayo.
Perfect. And today we want to talk about Teams breakout rooms. When we've seen them used well, how they work, how you go about setting them up.
Yes, Microsoft Teams breakout room is a neat little feature that was released a while ago, and they've updated the features back in the fall. That is really neat to have it in special cases in a Microsoft Teams meeting. I like it. I've used it a little bit. It's easy to configure. So yeah, it's a good topic.
So what breakout rooms in Teams are is it's basically it's separating from one Teams meeting into virtual breakout rooms where you can have smaller conversations with some of your attendees, and then being able to bring them back to the main meeting. And the idea is kind of like in person, if you were going to break out into different conference rooms, it's the same thing virtually. And people don't have to end or leave the one meeting to go join another meeting. They're able to be elegantly transitioned, if you will, from the main meeting to breakout rooms and then back to the main meeting, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's think about it. You are in a small or large meetings, and you want to break out into different topics, and you can't really just talk over each other. It's not very productive. So you break out into separate rooms, so you can discuss specific topics, and then you come back to the main lobby when you're done. As a meeting organizer, you have the capability to establish this, and it doesn't matter how small or big the meeting is. You can create few breakout rooms.
And who is it that can create a breakout room? Is it anybody in the meeting?
No, typically the organizer is the one that can create, or the co-organizer can create a breakout room. So not anyone, no.
And does the organizer have to attend the meeting in order for the breakout rooms to start?
No, actually, there is the updates that happened back in the fall will allow you to actually pre-create the breakout rooms. Before then, you had only the capability to create a breakout room while you are in the meeting. So you click on there was like a breakout room, couple of squares on top, and then you configure it as an organizer. But with the latest changes back in October, you can pre-create a breakout room. So you can pre-create them. With that, you can assign a presenter to manage your breakout room. So you don't have to manage it yourself, because if you are in multiple breakout rooms and you have a large attendance, it will be probably pretty difficult to manage all the breakout rooms yourself. So you want to have someone to help you do so.
My experience with breakout rooms has been as an attendee in an all-day training session where we were, the organizer, the person running the training session had divided us up into subgroups. And during part of it, we all went out into our breakout rooms, we did our thing, and then we came back to the main meeting. And I found they're most useful when you've got like a long running meeting or a training session like what I just described, or a very large meeting with lots of people.
Yeah, I found similar. I've used breakout rooms before when delivering virtual user group sessions. So during the presentation, you have time to break out into smaller groups for discussion and then be able to bring them back together. But I've never configured breakout rooms. So Mike, can you talk us through the process of how a meeting organizer would go about setting up breakout rooms?
Yeah, so you create your room, you create your meeting first, you add all the attendees to it, and then you come back to it and you edit that meeting. And you can only do that on the Teams app. You can't do it in the browser, only the Teams desktop app. So once you do that and you edit the actual meeting, at the top, you will see in one of the tabs is breakout rooms. You click on it, it'll give you an option to create rooms, and then you go create the rooms, and you select how many rooms you want. And once you create that, you have the options to automatically admit participants to the room. So it will randomly select people and assign them automatically to the rooms. You can pre-assign also participants to the room. You can also, in that same settings, you can also go and assign a presenter like I said, to manage the room. And you can also set a time limit. And let's say you are in a workshop and you're breaking off a smaller group to go and discuss a specific topic, and you say, I want it to last for 20 minutes. So automatically when the 20 minutes time is up, it will kick you out of the breakout room and it will take you back to the main lobby. You also have the option not to go back to the main lobby. If someone exits the actual breakout room, they exit the actual meeting, they can't go back. So it's one of the things, for example, is the end of a workshop. And then you have that breakout room. And then once everyone ends, it just the workshop ends.
Now, you mentioned you have to configure them in the Teams desktop app.
Correct.
And if you are someone that only books Teams meetings in Microsoft Outlook, like I do, right? I go to the calendar, I book a meeting, I hit the Teams meeting button, and Bob's your uncle, there's my Teams meeting.
Okay.
Do you have to, does it work with that? Or do I have to book my meeting within the Teams desktop app in order to do it?
No, you can book your meeting in Outlook. Just if you want to turn that, if you want to add breakout rooms into your meeting, you're going to have to go to the Teams app.
Gotcha.
And configure the breakout rooms in the Teams app itself. You cannot do it in Outlook. But the meeting can be created initially with Teams, with the Outlook, and then once it shows up in your calendar in your Teams app,
Mhm.
And you,
yeah.
And the recent feature updates have actually given you the capability that the meeting organizer can now go in and configure the breakout rooms before the meeting occurs. When they
Exactly.
initially released breakout rooms, you could only configure it during the actual meeting, which meant then you had to be a really effective organizer and or not leading the meeting to be able to configure it live while the meeting was in progress.
Exactly. And then once you configure it in the app or pre-configure it, you can still, while you are in the meeting, if you want to make some changes, add rooms, remove rooms, reassign participants to different breakout rooms, you can still do that. It just gives you the capability to pre-configure everything before you start your meeting, so you're not really pressed on time to go in and configure it during the meeting.
so you have the option of either out of the meeting or during the meeting if you want.
Exactly.
That's cool. Is it something you have to turn on in the Teams Admin Center?
No, it's automatically on. There's no features that you have to do in the admin center to turn it on. It's automatically everyone should have it. So this has been a GA. This new feature has been a GA for a few months right now. So yeah, I should be able to do it.
Can you turn it off in the Teams Admin Center if you wanted to, for whatever reason, not have it available to your users? Is that an option?
I haven't seen it. No, I don't think it's in the admin center. I'm not sure if you can do it in a PowerShell. My gut feeling says you should, but I've never came across of it.
Okay.
Interesting. So I can think of a lot of cases where you're either in a training session. I think there's a lot of use cases like we've talked about. I would also think that if you're doing project discovery sessions, et cetera, you're conducting like a set of customer interviews, I can imagine it being useful in that kind of a context as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for that's just thought about something that you can name your breakout rooms, right? So it's not like room 1, 2, whatever. You can name them. So basically, based on whatever event you have, you can pick some meaningful names for those rooms.
Okay, well, then that leads me to the next logical question. If you're going to have 3 breakout rooms and you're going to name one Sarah's room, one Mike's room, one Antonio's room, can the users choose the breakout room that they want to go in, or is it only the organizer who has to either randomize or choose it per person? Can the users self-select a breakout room?
No, the organizer will have to still assign participants to each room.
So they can't vote for their favorite podcaster by joining a breakout room?
No, unfortunately not. No, I'm just looking at the settings and I have to correct myself right now. The number of rooms is 50 now. It's not that odd number.
15, 1, 5?
Not 50, 50.
50, that's way better than 22.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a nice even number. So you can have up to 50 breakout rooms at a time. Okay, but you can't self-select breakout rooms. So, but you can, as an organizer, you can either assign specific individuals to breakout rooms or you can randomize it. What does the random setting look like?
Oh, you just basically, it's an auto assign. You just select an auto assign and you let the team pick and choose. So
And
you're not picking favorites.
And there's a time limit to breakout rooms too. You can set it.
You can't set it. You don't have to. You don't have to turn it on. It is a feature that you have to turn it on to set the limit. By default, it is not turned on.
Okay.
And then you can add more rooms. You can rename rooms. You can delete a room if you want to. So you as many as you can add, you can still delete. So so you're not set with the number of rooms. And if you over created rooms, you can remove them.
I think it's an interesting concept because I think from when we're hosting meetings, it brings to mind different roles, because it's not just the organizer is the person who happens to create the meeting invite, but now the organizer, if you're dealing with breakout rooms, has specific responsibilities separate and distinct from whoever is hosting the meeting, hosting the separate breakout room facilitation settings. It really gives you a lot more to think about.
Exactly, and it makes the experience is much easier now. Pre-breakout room, we used to have to create channels and create meeting channels, and people will have to exit a meeting and go back into another meeting and join and exit, which makes it a little bit confusing. Just the experience that when you are in a breakout room, it actually takes you out of the main lobby and puts you automatically in that breakout room. And then once you exit, or the actual organizer closes that room, it will automatically brings you back to the lobby. So it's pretty fluent experience.
Lovely. All right. Well, thanks for sharing all the knowledge about Teams breakout rooms. Any final thoughts?
Use it for your sessions, for your events, for small meetings at work. It's pretty cool.
I don't see it used a lot for small meetings or small groups because it feels a bit too much in terms of organizing. Where okay, for I don't know, 4 people, 5 people in a meeting, but for larger groups, absolutely, or conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I
Agreed. I definitely think it's a good feature to try out when you can get 5 or 10 people to be able to go in, try out the experience, try out the settings, make sure you test it beforehand before you roll with it. But really neat functionality. So perfect. Well, thank you everyone for listening. We hope you join us again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.